Good morning, you beautiful people. I hope you guys are having a wonderful day today. Let's talk even more about the ending of the Revelations Easter egg. Specifically, is there something more to it? Is there something we're missing? Is there something that's going to be released when Xbox One and PC get it? We're not entirely sure. However, let's talk about the implications of that. First of all, from a storyline perspective, there is absolutely stuff to be had here. There is definitely more things we can do. There's definitely more ways of going about this situation. Zombies is all about cycles. It's all about patterns. It's all about repeating the same process over and over again. Mob of the Dead is kind of the pinnacle of this idea. Mob of the Dead characters are stuck in this time loop over and over and over and over again. They will relive their same days in Alcatraz, sort of like Groundhog Day. And now, with the ending of Revelations, our own four characters are going through a very similar idea. They go through all of their adventures from Origins through Black Ops 3, and they get sent back to their premise selves. Now, throughout Origins and Black Ops 3, we have had teases and just things around the map pointing to our characters being these mysterious premise characters with staves and the ancients and all that sort of stuff. But now with the ending of Revelations, we seem to understand where that's coming from. Dr. Monty has sent them back so that they themselves are the premise characters that they first saw in their adventures, and then they live their lives as the premise characters, and then they die, and then our Origins characters are born, and we go through this same loop over and over again. So if we're using Mob of the Dead as sort of that idea, we in Mob of the Dead could break the cycle. If Weasel killed all of the other players, then the cycle was broken. Now, the implications of the cycle being broken, we're not entirely sure yet. However, the cycle being broken with our original four characters would be huge. This would mean that Dr. Monty never sends us back, or if he does send it back, we somehow prevent the next original four characters being sent back, and we break this loop, we break this cycle. So at least thematically speaking, there is totally a reason why there could be more stuff. We could break the cycle and never go back as our premise characters. We could live on as our characters in this perfect world. However, at least for me personally, in terms of gameplay, in terms of figuring out how to do this, at least from like in-game, I'm not entirely sure how. There doesn't seem to be any character quotes, there doesn't seem to be any alternative actions that we can take. There never seems to be a way out. For example, Mob of the Dead, you get that obvious prompt to kill the Weasel, and the Weasel obviously gets the prompt to kill the other players, so there are obvious choices there. In Transit Buried and Die Rise, there are obvious choices. Either you're listening to Maxis or you're listening to Richtofen. But now there isn't like you can't really listen to the Shadow Man. The Shadow Man's really just kind of antagonizing you. He's not really telling you to do anything differently. There wouldn't be any steps to follow the Shadow Man and go against Monty, even if that was the thing we're trying to do in the first place, which I think it is, because Monty seems really like conniving and he's trying to like tear our characters apart from each other, all that sort of stuff. But gameplay wise, I just don't see what else we're missing. Now let's talk about more of the evidence, just technically speaking, outside the game, kind of outside the realm of gameplay and storyline-wise, because I think storyline-wise, I think it's a yes. I think there's definitely more stuff that could be told, whether that's going to be told now or in like Black Ops 4 or whatever, that's left to be said. In terms of gameplay-wise, I'm a little bit on the edge, I'm not entirely sure, but now let's talk about technically speaking, just sort of maybe culturally speaking here. We have a couple evidences here. I'm on the Call of Duty subreddits right now, kind of showing you briefly what this is. The first proof that we have is there's only 9 trophies instead of 10 trophies in this DLC 4. DLC 1, 2, and 3 all had 10 trophies, and DLC 4 only has 9, so maybe they're doing that just to hide something. Maybe they're doing that they're going to add in a trophy later when Xbox One and PC gets it. The second proof that we have, a data miner was a real decryptor fixer, said that there is definitely a super Easter egg. There's stuff in the code that really hints towards a super Easter egg, maybe outright even says it. He also says we missed a lot of stuff on Gorod Krovi, which is really quite interesting. Jason Bloodell said that in DLC 4, if you think you're done with DLC 4, you're wrong. There's still more stuff to be there, which is interesting. We'll get to all that later. Let's see, what else? There's just like some stuff that wasn't touched on the Easter egg and all that sort of stuff. What we have to support against a super Easter egg is that, honestly, Treyarch has never added an additional Easter egg after the launch of any DLC, and that would be, or time gating that super Easter egg would go against the 30-day deal with Sony. I'm not sure how technically binding that actually is, if they're allowed to say that or not. I don't know if that's actually a thing or not, but there's a point. I was watching the Zombros podcast, and there's a really fantastic point that Rad Austin brought up, and he said that the developers want us to believe that there is more to be had there. They want us to believe that there are secrets, even if there aren't any, because as soon as we figure out all of the secrets, that's when we stop caring. Red Austin went to, I don't know if it was Call of Duty XP or just Treyarch Studios or whatever, and he asked somebody, you know, what's up with Shangri-La? What's the thing we're missing in Shangri-La? And the developer said, you know what, I could tell you, but then you wouldn't care anymore. And then you wouldn't play it anymore, and you just wouldn't care. That's an interesting thought as a game developer. As soon as everything is figured out, do we care anymore? Will we still play these maps? I know for me personally, absolutely, because outside of story, this game mode is a very fun game mode. But for the community, there's a story here, and that's what a lot of the community is focused on, and the hints and the puzzles and the clues of a secret story, that's what keeps the community alive to a certain extent. And if we figured all of that out, that storyline community may or may not be interested in this game anymore, which is an interesting aspect. And that's something where they could build up the super Easter egg, put stuff in the game code. They could say, as soon as you think you're done with it, you're not done with it, even if you have already figured it all out, because they want us to care more about their game, they want us to play it, and they want us to keep finding stuff. So for me personally, I could honestly see this going either way. I could see there being this super hidden Easter egg, and it being really cool. We break the cycle or something, and we find out how to fight back against Dr. Monty, and we aid the Shadow Man. Or maybe there's some not a side. Maybe we don't side with the Shadow Man. Maybe we defeat the Shadow Man, but we also fight back against Dr. Monty as well somehow. I'm not entirely sure. It's very interesting, and I want there to be a super Easter egg. But I can definitely see that Treyarch having a problem with time gating an Easter egg for everybody, as well as I can see them having trouble giving people what they actually want. As terrible as that sounds, if we were satisfied, then maybe some people would stop playing. Maybe some people would not continue to search for what may or may not be there, which is very ambiguous, and that's kind of what Treyarch is. They're very ambiguous people there. So I could see this going either way. Tell me your guys' thoughts. I've presented you with some information, some of my thoughts and feelings on this, and I want to know your guys' thoughts. So thank you guys so much for watching, and until the next absolutely beautiful Zombies Morning, I will catch up with you guys later. And as always, stay beautiful.